Welcome to my artist studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. I gotta go finish this painting, but I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com. Oh, hello everybody. I apparently forgot to put our lower third up. Michael, I love the fact that I can see your camera while the ad is running and like we're both going.
Yeah, it's such a great song. It like pumps you up before you jump on air.
Yes, and with all the topics coming up, we need that little bit of a boost before we get on. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, wherever you're watching us, Lindell TV, YouTube, Facebook. I have no idea where else might be, but thanks for joining us. As always, we do appreciate you being here. A lot going on. And it's only like what? It's been one day since we came back, and what's going on? Too much
Yeah,
going on.
2023 is definitely like starting off like with a bang. I don't know what you even call it. We've got a lot of news for there only being a few short days into this new year.
Yes, actually, Brian House put it the best on his radio yesterday. Yesterday. Anyways, which he said it's gonna be a great, horrible year. Like
It's a
I
good way to
like the
put.
way he put it.
Well, yeah, and I've heard some other people like jokingly around say it that like there's a lot of negative things coming that means we're going to be very busy because there's a lot to talk about and a lot of issues to cover and a lot of things the media isn't going to touch with a 10-foot pole that we'll want to bring up and highlight.
Very true. Very true. And as always, please, if you're on any of the platforms that you have the capability to share, do share this video. I know we're not directly on Facebook yet. A few more days. Next week we'll be back there too. But in the meantime, just share the YouTube link wherever you are, so we can get everybody gathered. So where are we starting? Let's just start here, Michael.
Hmm.
Racism.
Yes,
It's been an ongoing issue. It has always existed from day one of what we know as modern human society, or maybe not even necessarily modern, but it's been always there. I'm not going to sit here and deny the existence of it, but it feels like in last probably in my I'm going to say 30 years or so, it has become a tool. Racism, the word
agreed.
racism, has become a tool. Now it has become, I feel like it has become, I think the proper pronunciation is a smoking mirror, to where they're making everything so much of racism that they can hide the true racism behind it. You can't find the real racism and put your finger on it anymore because everything is racism. Apparently, um, recently, very recently, do forgive me as I don't know the exact data, but maybe few days ago, yet again now, uh, uh, it's racist to work out now. Apparently, workout is
Right, yeah.
racist.
It's white supremacy if you work out or go to the gym. It's also fat phobia and something else. I saw the headline, read part of the article.
Yeah, but I guess what I don't understand is 90. Okay, I'm going to be a little generous here. 90% of population of Earth um, is somewhat decent enough with their brain cells. I know I'm like really generous right now
Yeah,
to understand that this game of racism has gone too far. So why is it that most people are playing along? That's where and I'm not surprised that globalists and elites are playing this game or started playing this game. But the question is, when did we jump in to play along? Like half of the things it's called racist nowadays. I use probably one and a half of my brain cell, and I can see that it's not.
Oh, exactly. I think there's very little, if any, real systemic racism left in the world. Like, I do think like some of the drug laws and that kind of stuff that leftists used to talk about changing. I do think that some of those are rooted in racism. I'll give them that one, and even some of the stuff with prisons and sentencing. I'll give them that one that it's holdovers. But by and large, there is no systemic racism holding the people back. And a lot of these things that are called racism, it's more like they just don't want to argue the merits of their ideas. And as soon as you disagree with something, that becomes racist. Or this example with the gym, like I don't even know where this comes up from. I'm going to guess that somebody just doesn't like working out or had a bad experience at a gym, and now they're racist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hold on, let me Karen, thanks for joining today, and happy early birthday. It's her
Yeah.
birthday this weekend, so happy early
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Yay! Maybe you know what, Michael? Probably Friday. You should bring the whole 9 yard of birthday party, and then we do a birthday party for Karen.
Perfect.
She is very lovely. Been a huge supporter for a long time. I certainly do appreciate her. So happy early birthday! And yes, I'll be back on Facebook after your birthday. Here's the thing. I understand the disagreements. We touched on it a little bit yesterday. But I guess the word here's words mean a lot. Words
Yes.
have meanings, and I get it. You know, we're at the point where abbreviations work better. Not with me, as you know. I type everything out even when I text you. I don't do the whole laziness of language. I don't know why. It's just not my style. But I understand even with that, it matters. If you watch Brainwash America Part 2, produced by Brandon House, you can find it on wordweekend.com. Or just go to brainwashedamerica.themovie.com. It's part of brainwash is normalization of certain terms, and
Yeah.
racism is one of those terms. It's to a point where it bothers me. It doesn't offend me, but it bothers me as a person, as somewhat in a more uh, um, I guess, privileged position than you, at least. Even though somehow I'm still a white supremacist, anyways, regardless of my skin color or
Correct.
race. Um, and but it bothers me that people are, again, who created it, it's fine. It's the same thing with Islamophobia, for example, or homophobia. All of those terms, we have allowed it way too deep into our lives.
Yeah. Well, also
Why?
I don't know why. I don't know why people keep letting it happen because when you have these illegitimate things called racist or sexist or Islamophobic or whatever, it cheapens it when it actually does happen. Like when there is a genuine example of racism or something else, it's sort of lost its meaning. It's like the boy that cried wolf over and over again. All of a sudden, then when you have a real example, it's being paired up to all these, fake hate crimes or other things. We've talked before on here about there being like a shortage of real legitimate hate crimes, real examples of white supremacy or other things. It's because by and large, it doesn't exist in our society. And I do think, you brought up that over the last 30 years that this has been something that developed. But I honestly think that, 30 years ago, we were trending on a much better path. I think race relations were much better when I was a kid or when I was in high school or wherever. Like it wasn't something we thought about. When I was going through school, you were supposed to look at people by their actions, by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, as Dr. Martin Luther King said. We were going in that direction. And now we're going the exact opposite, where everyone is either a victim or the oppressor. And that sends the wrong message no matter which side of that equation you're on. You're either forced to feel guilty for things you had nothing to do with, or you're taught that the reason every time you fail, it's not your fault. It's not you didn't try hard enough to do the right things. It's because some mysterious person out there is holding you back and preventing you from being successful.
True. And by the way, when I said 30 years ago, I was talking about how the plantation started 30 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're
Um,
right.
it's remember with brainwashing, they can't just brainwash anyone overnight. It's the what is it we call boiling pan or boiling
Yeah, the
water?
frog. Yeah, the frog in the hot water.
That's what it is. But yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I really hope and I pray that my fellow humans, not just Americans, fellow humans, I do pray that you stop a step out of this game. As you all are aware, by just 2 days on air, I am done with all the games. I am not going to play any more games. My life is not a game. My life is precious. And those of you who are familiar with my past, I wasn't born to this life. I had to earn this life by going through absolute darkness and unknown. So I'm done playing games because my life is not a game. But I do pray that rest of you will join me on this. No more games. The truth is the only thing that matters, and there's just one truth. There's no your truth, truth, my neighbor's truth. There's just one type. Another game that we've been playing along with. And again, I'm not saying anybody needs to be nasty about it, but if you stop using certain terms that is normalized in a different way, that might give us a little bit of a chance to reverse this um,
Brainwashing.
damage, if you call it brainwashing. Uh,
Well, I think when you connected it back to the brainwashing and to language having meaning, that really is the heart of the matter. Is it's sort of like shifting public consciousness over time. It is literally brainwashing people to see any disagreement as instead of focusing on what the ever the actual issue is, you make them focus on, well, if you don't like me, it's clearly, or you don't like what I said, it's clearly because you're a racist or you're sexist or you're a bigot or you're a homophobe, whatever it is.
mhm.
Um, and it also makes it hard for other people that do see it, like you're saying. It makes them where they don't want to call it out because then they're going to get called those names too. And it's easier to just go along and let it happen than to actually have the courage to stand up and call it out.
Yes, and thank you for catching me there. I completely drew a blank on where my sentence was going. Thanks for that. See,
Uh,
this is why having a co-host is wonderful because I was just zoning out for a second, but correct. And
Welcome.
um, I have no idea what happened. My brain just went like, yeah. I guess my brain told we're not going to play the words game anymore. That means we're just not going to talk anymore. So
You just shut off all words because words have meaning, and then they all just disappeared.
exactly. Okay, back to or not back actually because of the concept of time here, especially on our first half an hour being with our Lindell TV audience. Let's go somewhere. Um, Not because this discussion isn't important enough to be continued, but we made the point we needed to make, and hopefully people will take away whatever they understood of it. But I want to talk about somewhat related into words, but not racism or that. The blame game. Michael,
Yeah.
this blame game is becoming so dangerously toxic and poisonous. And again, trigger warning, the next topic might trigger some of you. I will not apologize for it. I will warn you if you are sensitive in any shape or form on the topic of President Trump, if you are a Trumpster, if you believe Trump is your Lord and Savior, please tune out right now because we're about to trigger you. But with a lot of achievement that President Trump achieved in the 4 years of being in the office, one of the top one, and I personally have a post on my Facebook with a hallelujah on one of his what do we call it, address nation when
Yeah, like
he
a,
addresses the nation.
yeah, so one of his like national addresses.
Thank you, national addresses. When he mentioned that the life of you know babies matter, which we can put it on a simple term of his pro-life achievements. Uh, was definitely one of the highlights. He has been one of the rare, very rare pro-life presidents in history of America. Not saying the only one. Let's make one of the rare cases.
Yeah.
But now, but now, he put out a post on his Truth Social that when I saw it, I was like, "Whoa!" And then when I showed it to you, you were like, "Oh!"
Yeah. So
And
I d
go ahead.
yeah, because I had not seen that yet today. I've had a very busy day running around taking care of some personal things, and I'm still a little I don't know. It's really disappointing. Do we have a way to bring it up and kind of share it with the audience here?
I can try to do that. Uh, I here. This is as big as I can make it, guys. So I hope this is big enough. Basically said it wasn't my fault that the Republicans didn't live up to expectations in the midterms. I was 233-20. It was the abortion issue poorly handled by many Republicans, especially those that firmly insist on no exceptions, even in the case of rape, incest, or life of the mother. That lost large number of voters. Also, the people that pushed so hard for decades against abortion got their wish from the U.S. Supreme Court and just plain disappeared, not to be seen again, plus a bunch of stupid dollars. Now, I want to be clear about something right here, right now. I am not agreeing nor disagreeing with his statement as far as the abortion issue and how it was handled. I am not neither agreeing nor disagreeing with that. What I am disappointed in is Trump is now blaming pro lifers for midterm. Is
Yeah.
Trump genuinely not saying midterm was yet another election fraud?
Yeah, and disappointing is exactly what it is because it's playing the blame game and it's putting it off on the people that really got him into office. Like again, like a lot of where his support came from, especially in his second run, was because he was a champion of the pro-life movement. He didn't just talk the talk; he walked the walk, and that's something we're not used to seeing. And again, I can give kudos to Trump all day for this. That's the one thing that makes him different in my book is he did at least try to accomplish the vast majority of the things that he ran on the first time. Yeah, he got stopped by Republicans and the rhinos and the Democrats several times and gummed up the system, but he did at least make honest efforts, and some of them paid off, like getting Roe v. Wade overturned by the Supreme Court. But I also don't buy that as an excuse anyway, because when they did polling, I mean, this was an issue the Democrats ran on a lot of their campaigns, and even their own internal polling showed their voters weren't excited about that. But it was like fifth to seventh, as low as ninth on the list in every poll I saw on what issue was important to even Democrat voters. So I have trouble believing it scared Republicans away from the polls.
Well, true. And let me, we have a comment from Karen that says he seems to have some ill advised advisors lately. Um, Karen, let's agree to disagree because this is not a topic that your advisors are giving you. You don't go from being the pro life platform president to blame pro lifers for midterm, which obviously was another election fraud based on an advisor. Now, unfortunately, I'm the type of person that sometimes I will say, some of the actions taken by President Trump has nothing to do with his advisors and everything to do with his decision. This is one of those times that I will hold him accountable. And I want to repeat this. This isn't about him attacking pro lifers or not. This is about him covering up an election fraud for whatever reason. Midterm was the second time of election fraud taking place in United States of America.
Mhm.
And for President Trump, who experienced this firsthand in 2020, to say this, I will hold him accountable. I would like to know what gave him the idea that it's better to go after pro lifers, that he ran his entire campaign on them. He got all of his vote from them. Listen, if Mitt Romney did this, we would all be, where.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I warned everybody yesterday. I'm not covering up for anyone anymore. If
It,
this person was not Trump and it was Biden, it was Obama, it was, as I said, Mitt Romney, it was whatever, we wouldn't be saying, oh, bad advisors. No. Mm-mm. We would be plastering this a screenshot all over our social media of, oh, when it came to voting, he lied to us and was a pro life. Now he's saying he's not pro life. We would do that. I'm not going to plaster it anywhere, but I will hold him accountable. I will ask the question of Mr. President, would you please tell me What went wrong that when pro-lifers were voting for you, it was a good thing, but now pro-lifers are scaring away voters. What went wrong in between? That's it.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, the buck stops with him anyway, regardless of who his advisors are. He's the one that's ultimately deciding what's get truthed on this account. I almost said tweeted. Um, so regardless, and if he's if you really do believe it's the advisors and not President Trump, then why do you want somebody that's delegating this responsibility out to people? That why is he letting other people put words in his mouth? Do you really think it's his advisors that did this? Then that makes me question this person's leadership and their ability to do things on their own. And maybe that's just because I'm looking at it right now. But at the end of the day, advisors are not advisors. This went out through his account. That means he said it.
And between me and you, Michael, which is the next topic we're going to bring up here, um, it seems like President Trump has the pattern of behavior that goes there. Either bad advice from wrong advisors or not being aware of who's doing what under his name. We just talked about this one, and even as you said, even for sake of argument, if he's allowing an advisor to put these words in his mouth or truth them for him,
Yeah.
that's still a lack of judgment on his end. And then right before the New Year's and Christmas, we had him congratulating and celebrating the Marriage Act.
Yeah.
Am I correct on that?
Yes. We also discussed like the Afghanistan withdrawal that,
Uh,
apparently some of that. Yeah.
well, that one we haven't actually shared with our audience yet. I did touch on it with Brandon on the very last show of the uh, Brandon House Live last year, but I'm kind of like building up to there because that's something. The moment we touch, I mean,
Yeah.
it's we're going to be targeted for that, which is okay. We're used to it. But just the recent actions, I'm going to take us back to his endorsement of Dr. Oz, his
Mhm.
endorsement of Ibrahim Hamadeh. Now, does it matter if they won or not? No, it doesn't. The endorsement matters. President Trump was, again, part of his campaign that worked for him or got him being targeted a lot was the fact that he's gonna make sure that Islamic terrorism and Islamic radicalism terms he used back then is going to be minimized and eliminated in America. But then fast forward to where he goes and endorses. I remember when President Trump was questioning Ted Cruz's loyalty based on his dual citizenship of Canada. And Ted Cruz didn't serve in Canadian military. But when it came to Dr. Oz, President Trump had no problem endorsing a man who has a dual citizenship of Turkey and here and served in Turkish military. And as recently as 3 years ago, he voted in election of Turkey, voting for
Yes.
Erdogan, one of the most brutally dictators of Islamic leadership. He
Yeah.
endorsed him. Again, was it a bad advice? I don't know. Was it his decision? Doesn't matter. Both cases is showing lack of judgment.
Well, it also illustrates a lack of responsibility because it isn't just these examples. I mean, this is something that's gone on. It is a pattern with Trump. It is one of his character flaws that I don't like. That when something doesn't go his way, he kind of tries to shirk responsibility. And a real leader will take the blame even when they make a mistake or when something doesn't work out the way they think it does. And that's kind of again one of the hallmarks of somebody that is a good leader. Um, Whereas Trump kind of more has this pattern where something doesn't work out, it was an advisor's fault. It was this. It was something that wasn't him directly. It's always shifting, maybe not 100%, but some of it. Like the advisors thing, I will buy if it's a specialized issue and things weren't explained to him. Like some of the things that happened around, say, COVID, where the information was literally not given to him, and he made a decision with partial information. Or again, some of the stuff that happened through when they were doing the troop surge in Iraq and Afghanistan early in his presidency. I will buy
Ex-
some excuse. Yeah, I will buy some excuses there where we know he was given bad information. But otherwise, at the end of the day, this advisor, he's the one that should be pulling the strings at the end and making the decision, not whoever, not this advisor.
yes, very true. We have a comment. Advisors are owned. Their alliances. goes toward their biggest donor. That's very true. But again, when you are the president of the United States of America, is by far the most powerful man on earth. You don't get to just take the advisor's word for it and not use your, I mean, if you lack common sense, to have your own common sense applied into the advice, then that's where our question, mine and Michael's, come in. Now, on the bigger scale of question is there is a there's information that has been released, and I have confirmed the information that United States of America uh, signed an agreement on not targeting Taliban, not to go to war with them, not to attack them, none of that. And you all know, because for a full 30 days, I was on air every single day talking about our disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, what happened, how terrible it was, and all of that. 100% is on Biden regime, no question asked. However, Taliban took over Afghanistan a day after supposedly we started the withdrawal. Uh, but this letter of guarantee for not targeting Taliban was not signed day before or even at the beginning of Biden regime. This letter was signed on February of 2020, months before Biden had the pen. Somebody else had the pen back then, and that somebody
Yes.
else was Trump administration. Again, the question is, did Trump know this is happening or did he not? Does the answer matter, Michael?
Yes, it matters because either way, it shows poor judgment. If he
So it
didn't
doesn't
know,
matter. Sorry, just
well,
to correct you. It
yeah,
doesn't matter if he knew or he didn't know. The guilt is equally the same, heavily guilty.
yes, yes, true, very true. So yes, it does matter, but I guess it matters differently either way. It matters, one, he knew about this and this he was okay with this, or two, he didn't have as much control as he alludes to, and this was done behind his back, and they are both negatives. So yeah, it definitely matters, but it matters in different ways depending on which answer is true.
It comes back to, if President Trump was aware of this agreement being made, then his entire campaign, anti-Islamic jihad, was a lie. If
Yes.
he wasn't aware of this agreement being made, then again, you cannot be the commander in chief and the most powerful man on earth when such a huge, disastrous agreement is being made by Taliban. Taliban.
Yes,
And
and
it
look exact.
happens that Taliban comes back in power. Well, we know why they came back in power. We know why our reaction to them literally taking our base and airport was so naive and so light and somewhat polite, because we had an agreement not to attack them.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't send enough troops in to evacuate, because, well, there was an agreement in place.
Yeah, in a really sick way, a lot of things that we saw during that botched withdrawal make a lot more sense now because we had an agreement not to attack them and not to do anything else and essentially just to stand down unless there would have been more direct assaults on American personnel during those last few official days of the evac. This agreement's in place. We can't counterattack. We can't do anything because we told them we won't. They have carte
Exactly.
blanche to harass the citizens of Afghanistan any way they want.
Very true. We need to wrap up with our Lendl TV audience. As always, we do appreciate you guys being here on Lendl TV and everywhere else. But don't forget to go to mypillow.com or mystore.com. Use the promo code AC21, AC21. You can also check out my art, lutfstudio.com, lutfstudio.com. Use the promo code Frank. And that way you can support what we do here. I have a feeling after this program, we probably lose a lot of support, but that's all right. Almost never worry about finances because God provides. And all I need to do is tell the truth. Last words for our Linda TV audience, Michael?
Well, I also have a feeling that anybody that wants an amazing piece of art better go to LUTF Studios now, because a couple of those ones you just loaded are going to go fast. There are some amazing new pieces on there right now. But yes, thank you for being with us, and we'll be back again soon.
Yes, for the rest of the platforms, don't go anywhere. As always, we're going to take a quick 1 minute commercial break and be back to continue the discussion. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Years ago, when I invented My Pillow, I was faced with every adversity you could think of. No retailers wanted to sell My Pillow. That's come full circle. Vendors took advantage of me, and I was copied by China. Well, by the grace of God, I was able to get through all that and learn from it. I have a passion to help other U.S. entrepreneurs, and that's why I created my new platform, mystore.com. We have hundreds of products from amazing entrepreneurs, and to celebrate, I'm going to put My Pillows on mystore.com right now. You can get my standard My Pillows regularly $69.98, now only $19.98 with your promo code. Or you can get my standard queen size, regular $79.98, now only $29.98. Or you can get my premium king size, regularly $89.98, now only $34.98. So go to mystore.com and use that promo code on your screen to get huge discounts on all My Store products. Thank you and God bless.